Yeah. But the trouble is, by the time I get there, it's gone.
They were America's favorite hillbillies, turned millionaires. But behind the cameras, their real story was anything but a fairy tale. Hidden illnesses, shocking feuds, and heartbreaking tragedies shattered their lives. What really happened when the laughter stopped? One star collapsed on Broadway, another's dream ended in disgrace, and the last surviving member carries the weight of a legacy few understand. Get ready, because the truth behind TV's most beloved family is far darker than you ever imagined. Buddy Ebsen had it all: fame, fortune, and a role that made him a household name. But did you know that after the Beverly Hillbillies ended in 1971, he could have retired comfortably at 63? Instead, he shocked everyone by stepping into an entirely new world. In 1973, Buddy took on a serious role as Barnaby Jones, a determined detective seeking justice for his son's murder. It was a far cry from the laid-back, easygoing Jed Clampett, but audiences loved it. The show ran for 8 years, proving Buddy wasn't done yet. By the time it wrapped in 1980, he had defied Hollywood's expectations, starring in 2 major TV hits back-to-back, something very few actors ever achieve. But retirement? Not for Buddy. Even at 73, he continued acting, starring in TV movies like Fire on the Mountain and Stone Fox. In 1984, at 76, he even had a recurring role in Matt Houston. Age never slowed him down. And just when people thought he had stepped away from the industry, he made a surprise voice cameo in King of the Hill at 91, an incredible 37 years after he first captured America's heart as Jed Clampett. His life wasn't just about acting, though. Buddy was a skilled sailor who designed his own catamaran and even raced competitively. He was also a songwriter and playwright, proving his creativity knew no bounds. But despite his many achievements, his final years were spent away from the spotlight, living a peaceful life by the ocean. When he passed away at 95, TV Land honored him with a Beverly Hillbillies marathon, a fitting tribute to a man who gave so much to Hollywood. Irene Ryan was another powerhouse. When the Beverly Hillbillies ended in 1971, she was 68, but quitting wasn't in her nature. Instead, she made a daring move: Broadway. That same year, she joined the touring production of Pippin, performing 8 shows a week in a grueling schedule that would exhaust even the youngest of stars. But Irene wasn't just keeping up, she was stealing the show. Her performance as Berta was so electrifying that audiences gave her standing ovations night after night. Even the New York Times raved about her, saying she commanded the stage with a presence that left her co-stars in awe. Then, on March 10th, 1973, tragedy struck. Mid-performance, Irene collapsed. It seemed like a minor incident, but the truth was devastating. She had an aggressive brain tumor. Doctors gave her just weeks to live. Even as her health deteriorated, her legacy was already being cemented. On April 16, 1973, her name was announced as a Tony Award nominee, but Irene never got to celebrate. Just 10 days later, she passed away at 70. Donna Douglas, the unforgettable Ellie Mae Clampett, took an entirely different path. When the Beverly Hillbillies ended in 1971, Hollywood begged her to take on new roles, even offering her a starring spot in a soap opera. But Donna did something no one saw coming. She walked away. Instead of chasing more fame, she pursued something far more personal. A trip to Israel in September 1971 changed everything for her, igniting a deep spiritual awakening. She left Hollywood behind and became a gospel singer and inspirational speaker. But behind her charming smile, she carried a painful secret. During her years on the Beverly Hillbillies, Donna battled a severe eating disorder, surviving on as little as 500 calories a day. She later revealed that her faith helped her overcome it. Her transformation was remarkable. By 1982, she had released her first gospel album, selling 50,000 copies. Over the years, she recorded 3 more albums, proving she was more than just a TV star. Yet, Hollywood wasn't done with her. In 2011, she made headlines when she sued Mattel and CBS for $75 million, claiming they used her likeness for an Ellie Mae Barbie doll without her permission. Though the case was settled out of court, it showed her unwavering determination. Donna also dabbled in real estate, though she only sold 3 houses, one of which was bought by a fan simply because she was the agent. Then there's Max Baer Jr., the man behind Jethro Bodine. Unlike his co-stars, Max's journey after the Beverly Hillbillies was filled with struggles. The show typecast him so severely that Hollywood refused to see him as anything else. Despite having a business degree, he found himself out of work. For 3 years, he barely landed any roles. Money was another issue. During the show's early seasons, he was paid just $500 per episode. Even when it became the top-rated show, his salary only climbed to $800. When the series ended in 1971, he was left scrambling, but Max refused to be defeated. In 1974, he took control of his destiny, producing and starring in Macon County Line. It was a massive hit, making $35 million on a tiny budget of just $100,000. 2 years later, he did it again with Ode to Billy Joe, another surprise box office success. Yet Hollywood still wouldn't take him seriously, so he pivoted, becoming an entrepreneur. In 1985, he envisioned a Beverly Hillbillies-themed casino, believing nostalgic fans would flock to it. Though it took decades of planning, his determination never wavered. Back then, Alzheimer's wasn't well understood. Many dismissed it as simple old age, but Bailey's decline was rapid. His on-screen persona as the sharp, money-minded banker became a cruel irony. While Drysdale spent years scheming to keep money safe, Bailey's own financial security crumbled. Despite the Beverly Hillbillies being a massive hit, actors in his era didn't earn the kind of wealth that today's TV stars do. His medical bills piled up, his savings dwindled, and he faced a reality far removed from the life of luxury he once pretended to have on TV. When he passed away in 1980 from a heart attack, Hollywood barely noticed. No grand tributes, no media frenzy, just a short obituary in the Los Angeles Times. Nancy Culp had her own battles, ones she fought with the same determination and intelligence that made Miss Jane Hathaway an unforgettable character. But her real-life story was far more complex than the quirky secretary audiences loved. In 1984, she took a bold leap into politics, running for Congress in Pennsylvania. She had the passion, the drive, and a strong stance on education and environmental issues. But what she didn't expect was a betrayal that would cost her everything. Buddy Ebsen, her former co-star and friend, recorded a radio ad endorsing her opponent, calling her too liberal for Pennsylvania. It was a public attack that she never saw coming. The damage was irreversible. Her campaign collapsed, and so did her relationship with Buddy. They didn't reconcile until shortly before her passing, when he finally admitted he had made a mistake. Unlike the glamorous Hollywood stars of her time, Culp never accumulated massive wealth. She lived modestly, teaching acting and relying on rerun residuals that barely covered her needs. When she was diagnosed with cancer in the late 80s, medical costs drained what little she had left, but what remained untouched was her spirit. She continued advocating for civil rights, quietly supporting LGBTQ+ causes long before they were mainstream. Near the end of her life, she confided in close friends about her sexuality, but she never felt the need to make a public statement. For Nancy, her legacy wasn't about labels, it was about fighting for what she believed in. Harriet E. McGibbon, the regal and scheming Margaret Drysdale, also found herself in Hollywood's unforgiving shadow once the show ended. With a career spanning 50 years, she had once been celebrated as a Shakespearean actress, but the Beverly Hillbillies cemented her in the public's mind as a wealthy snob. Typecasting robbed her of new opportunities, and personal tragedies struck hard. In 1977, she lost her only son, an art historian, to depression. The heartbreak was unbearable. She set up a scholarship in his name, but never spoke about him publicly. By the 80s, her health declined, and she retreated from the public eye. Few knew that her great-grandfather had once risked his life helping slaves escape via the Underground Railroad. She kept that history private until her final years when she donated his journals to preserve his legacy. Harriet passed away in 1987, quietly, without fanfare, her ashes laid to rest with a simple plaque that read, "All the world's a stage." And then there was Bea Benaderet, the voice of Betty Rubble, the heart of Petticoat Junction, and the unforgettable Cousin Pearl. Her decision to leave the Beverly Hillbillies for a lead role in another show was supposed to be the opportunity of a lifetime. But behind the scenes, Bea was keeping a devastating secret. Diagnosed with lung cancer in 1963, she kept working, pushing through the pain, determined not to let her illness define her.